It's Parenting Month, and we have Chicago Tribune columnist Heidi Stevens here to help us help our children. And welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is a really important topic.
It is important. So we can't, as parents, just ignore these topics.
No, the kids know it's happening. They're going through active shooter drills at school. They see social media. They see the news. They know what's happening. So it's really important for us to get in there and mix it up with them on this stuff and not pretend it's not reality.
For sure. So when your children are young, how can you talk to them about these major disasters and these tragedies that are happening? I know the first thing you're telling us to do is stick to basic facts and minimal media coverage.
So especially with elementary school kids, it's really important to limit the images they see. There's all kinds of research that shows, especially kids who grew up around 9/11, if they were exposed to a lot of images of it and newsreels of it, they actually dealt with more anxiety that was harder to get over as they grew up. So it's important to talk about it, but they don't necessarily need to see pictures of it, especially in elementary school age. You can just stick to really basic facts and turn the TV off. You know, when they're up and around, turn CNN off.
Okay.
And then be as reassuring as possible too with younger kids. It can feel dishonest to, talk about how really safe they are, but statistically they probably are pretty safe. You can talk about how places actually step up security after natural disasters, after school shootings, that wherever they're going the next day is probably safer than it ever was.
So you're not burying the facts, you're just trying to highlight different portions of the facts, because all of those are true.
Right, reassure them is key in elementary school.
So for middle-aged school children, what's the best way to tackle some of these tough topics that we're talking about? I know what you're telling us, that we should be honest with them.
Be honest with middle schoolers for sure. They have access to social media. They're probably even talking about it in school with hopefully with their teachers, not just with their peers. So definitely the key is to be honest there. And the other thing with middle school kids is to check back in. So like sometimes it's tempting to ask them right after something happened, how are you feeling? Do you want to talk about it? And if they say no, then we're like, oh, check that box off. They don't want to talk about it. Check in 2 days later, 3 days later, a week later, because sometimes, especially tweens and like early teens, they need a couple days to process and to be ready to admit that they do want to talk about it a little bit. So so don't ask once and then cross it off your list. Keep going back.
There you go. And you're actually saying for high school kids, we kind of got to switch it up. For high school kids, we should be listening more than we should be talking.
Exactly. Experts say with high school kids, it's important to ask them, what are your friends saying about this? How are you feeling about this? Hear what's on their mind, because they have most likely read all about it, talked all about it. It's important to get your perspective in there, but it's important to get them talking first and just be the listener.
Okay. One thing I love that you said for all ages is that they should be seeking help. If a parent needs help on any of these topics, or if they feel like they need reinforcement for whatever they're trying to instill in their children, you're encouraging them to reach out to counselors or seeking professional help.
Seek a counselor, Hopefully the school has some grief counselors or guidance counselors, social workers on hand. If not, you could seek out, a counselor in private practice. I think that's hugely beneficial to every kid and to every parent too. I think it's also really important to help kids feel less powerless. So maybe that means actually taking some action. It could be advocating for gun control if that's...
Turn it into positive energy.
Right.
I like that.
Raise some money maybe. There's all sorts of GoFundMe sites for the Florida shooting victims. If it's a natural disaster, raise money for relief efforts. Something that makes them feel like they have some power to make the situation better.
Because you can only control what you do. And you have three kids, right, Heidi?
Three
kids. So you've actually come on the show to talk about what parents should do too, because sometimes we need to take care of ourselves as well.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't be a healthy ear, for somebody if you're struggling.
Yeah, I know that parents, I've heard parents talk about how they struggle with some of the child killings or some of the shootings and things that happen in our community as well.
Yeah.
All right, Heidi Stevens here from the Chicago Tribune. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
For more parenting tips, parents can head to healthychildren.org so you can get this conversation started.